Hello and welcome to today in the News on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chukudi. We'll be giving the front pages of the papers, starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with hashtag fearless in October protests. Soldiers, police, a crackdown on protesters in Rivers, Abuja, Kano. The rider says arrest 5 leaders in Kano, stop media coverage of protests in Rivers. Panic in Abuja as police tear gas protesters. Showore leads a peaceful demonstration in Lagos. CSOs vow to sustain struggle against bad governance. We can't continue like this, protesters tell Tinubu in Ibadan. Police assure residents of security in Ondo. Kaduna calm as youth shuns protest dialogue with protesters. UAFCS urges government. On page 8, Independence Day speech, Tinubu failed to address Nigerians' problems. That's coming from CSOs. Iran launches a missiles attack on Israel. I didn't steal Kaduna's money. Can swear with Quran, says ex-Governor el-Rufai. And that story is on page 14. Our government said now facility ablaze in Imo. Independence anniversary, Nigeria at risk of dictatorship. ATIKU will be, you can see that on page 9. On page 14, Macallan unveils 73-year-old whiskey masterpiece tales of the Macallan Volume 11. Emirates land in Lagos 2 years after suspending operations. NNPCL allocates a 48.6 million barrel of crude to Dangote refinery. We take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with protest discontent mar Nigeria's 64th Independence Day celebration. CDHR advocates removal of states from federal structure. Southwest in need of modern ranches, not open grazing of old. Independence Day, governor salutes Nigerians for resilience amid hardship. el-Rufai, I didn't steal as governor, I'm ready to swear with Quran. Also gives federal government 35-day ultimatum on lingering crisis. Lastly, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, PDP not one-man enterprise. Governors reply, Wike's ally. On the Punch newspaper, we have October 1st protest records low turnout nationwide. Rider says Kaduna Plateau, Nasara Odeshon rally, heavy police presence in Osun, Niger. Police arrested in Kano, Port Harcourt as Nance back president's youth confab. Tinubu governors preacher patriotism at 64th Independence Day parades. 5 suspects arrested for allegedly killing Ogun fisherman. Iran launches 180 missiles at Israel. Federal government plans Nigeria's evacuation. Federal government extends rice subsidy programs to states. And of course, the Port Harcourt refinery misses 7th production rollout deadline. Petrol imports dropped by 3.58 billion litre after subsidy removal. You can read that on page 23. Lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, flooding worsens despite 180 billion naira spent on dams. And that's all we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. If you're just joining us still today in the News on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. And let's take a look at the report on hashtag of careless in October protests. Soldiers, police crackdown on protesters in Rivers, Abuja, Kano. And some protesters against the bad governance had a raw deal in the hands of the army, police, other security agents, and even political thugs yesterday in Rivers, Kano, and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Abuja, as the protesters actualized their vow of going ahead with the October 1st action with various themes such as hashtag fearless in October and hashtag National Day of Survivor. The tough-talking security agents, especially the police, kept their part of ensuring law and order and took steps to abort or crush the protest. The outcome was a crackdown on the protesters, of which 5 leaders were arrested in Kano. They were also tear-gassed and chased about in Abuja and Port Harcourt. However, there were peaceful protests in Lagos, Ibadan, and Ondo, with organizers and collaborating civil society organizations, CSOs, vowing to sustain the struggle against bad governance in the country. The October 1st protest is a continuation of the hashtag End Bad Governance protest held between August 1st and 10th in response to the economic hardship experienced by many Nigerians. The hashtag End Bad Governance protests were met with resistance from security operatives, setting the stage from yesterday's confrontation. In Rivers State, police then suspected that political talks dispersed the October 1st protesters in Port Harcourt. The police also stopped media personnel from taking pictures or videos of the incident. The police had earlier urged residents to shun activities that could jeopardize peace in the state during the 64th Independence Day celebration, with the Commissioner of Police Olatunji Disu promising adequate security during the celebration and deploying personnel to many strategic places in the city. The protests in Port Harcourt met with stiff oppositions from fierce-looking policemen who had arrived at the scene of the protest on time. As protesters were gathering at the popular pleasure park on the busy Port Harcourt-Aba Expressway, the policemen arrived with some youth suspected to be political thugs, chased the protesters out of their meeting point and took over the area. Undaunted, the resolute protesters started regrouping at the Rumola area, but the same officers came and dispersed them. The police mounted heavy security checks on the two locations and other areas suspected to be a new meeting ground for the protesters. We'll take a look at our next story. Our next story is on Independence Anniversary, Nigeria at risk of dictatorship, ATIKU Obi. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of Labour Party in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, and his party have raised the alarm over what they describe as Nigeria sliding into a one-party state and political dictatorship. The trio spoke on the heel of the celebration of the nation's 64th independent anniversary yesterday. Atiku, who was also the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in the 2023 election, in a tweet on his verified X handle, said, "It is deeply regrettable that our current landscape reflects a troubling decline in electoral credibility, increasingly manipulated by those in power. Our political milieu has become corrosive. Opposition parties languish in weakness, while the ruling party appears to manipulate internal processes to render them ineffectual. Nigeria teeters on the brink of a one-party dictatorship, and it is incumbent upon all politicians and statesmen of integrity to rise and reclaim our democracy from the encroaching crowd of oppression. As we celebrate Nigeria's 64th independent anniversary, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to all Nigerians on this momentous occasion. This is not just a commemoration but a tribute to the indomitable spirit and unwavering resolve of Nigerians who steadfastly believe in the potential of our homeland. In reflecting on this milestone, I am reminded of how our nation has traversed numerous tumultuous phases. Yet the tenacity of our patriotic citizens, bolstered by the solidarity of our international allies, has fortified our resolve as a resilient entity," he says. Similarly, the National Chairperson Labour Party LP Caretaker Committee, Senator Nenadi Usman, said Nigeria's 64th Independence Day anniversary called for sober reflection because failure of governance and rampant corruption have remained stumbling blocks to the nation's progress. Nenadi Usman, who stated this in a message to Nigeria yesterday, said, "As we celebrate this milestone, we are reminded of our nation's journey towards development and self-governance. Yet alongside the celebration, it is vital that we face the stark realities confronting us. Nigeria has been richly endowed with natural, human, and material resources, yet our progress has been hindered by years of stagnation and setback." And she continues and says, "Despite some economic growth, poverty remains widespread and inequality persists. The transformation of our economy has not yielded the productivity gains we hope for. Governance failures and rampant corruption remain serious obstacles as Nigeria continues to rank poorly on indices measuring corruption and the rule of law." And let's take a look at Mr. and Mrs. before we go. And Mrs. is speaking. She says, "Dear, men are so crazy about women who are endowed back and front. Is that why you're spoiling me with so much money?" And Mr. responds and says, "Please let me invest in my future." This is actually very hilarious, but then again, it's Mr. and Mrs. Alright, so this is all we can take on today in the news. Remember that you can equally like and share and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. Find out today's stories. Go to our website www.vanguardngr.com. I am Precious Chukudi, and thank you for watching.